Hey, can you mute channel 5? Thank you. So, everyone here knows Larry, right? I mean, do you know Larry?
Everybody knows me?
Everyone knows him for the most part. I think they like you, man. I think they like you.
Most of them.
Hey, are we recording back there? Are we good? Are we good to go? Cool. So, I've known you for a long time. How many months? How long? How long is a long time?
14 months?
14 months I've known Larry, and he's served in the youth group. And when I first met him, I'll just give you guys a little intro. When I first met this guy, he was like, I want to work in the youth group. Like, what do you need? And I was like, man, what do I not need? I need so much. Help a brother out. And he was like, I am there. So he just came in, and he started setting up and doing all the heavy lifting and all the horrible manual labor. And I put him to work. I put him to crazy work. And our friendship grew, and we grew in ministry, and it was awesome. And one of these days, he was just like, you know what? When you preach, I just feel like I should. But I feel like I want to get up there and share something. And so I said, hey, why not? Why not give it a shot? So he's gonna. I won't. I'm done hogging up the mic. So go for it. Take it away.
So, just for all you young kids out there, you've got a lot to live for. You have a lot to live for. It started out, I'm 50-something, and it started out when I was your guys' age. I was forced to go to church. My grandmother made me go every Sunday. You'll do this, you'll do that, you'll do the offerings, and you'll tithe, and you'll eat the bread, and you'll drink. And I got rebellious at a young age. And then my mom got sick. And I figured out that by praying, going to bed every night and praying, that he would heal her. She needed new kidneys, she needed a new liver, and somewhere along the line, it was going to happen. I had the faith that it was going to happen. And he let her die. And I got very angry real quick. That was my mother. That was my everything. And I kind of turned against him. I never denied him, but I never actually asked him for anything after that. I figured if he couldn't help my mom, then he really didn't have the time to help me. And about 9 months later, we were out riding, motorcycles, of course, and stopped to take a break, and anyway, I was standing next to a bush, and I saw a rattlesnake. And everybody knows when you see a rattlesnake, you freeze. If you don't move, they'll get bored and they'll eventually crawl off. Well, the wind blew, and it blew my pant leg. And she bit me twice on my pant leg. How she didn't get my leg, I have no clue. Things started coming to a realization then that somebody was watching over me. I don't know who, I don't know why, but that should have been the first time. A year and a half later, me, my cousin, and her husband, and their 2 kids were up playing around in the snow on the mountain, and he had a big, huge Ford jacked up truck. And I thought it'd be funny to hold on to the front bumper and drag underneath the truck as he was driving up the hill.
Don't ever do that.
Yeah, don't ever do that. When we got to the top, not thinking, he had to turn. He had to make the circle at the top of the hill. Well, when he started to turn, my legs caught his front tire of his truck, and once again, I have no idea how I did it, but I managed to pull my legs away from the tire and keep from getting sucked up and spun around this 36-inch tire. Just about a year after that, my dad and I came down here to the coast to go fishing. And he rented this little tiny 14-foot flat bottom boat, and we went out and went fishing. I got seasick. So he brought me back into the shore, and he gave me some money. He said, eat some lunch, and I'll come back in a little bit and get you. And instead of getting food, I went to the bait shop and got some treble hooks and some line, and I was standing on the docks, and I was snagging anchovies. So when he came to get me, we had bait to go back out fishing with. Well, apparently, I got dizzy, passed out, fell in, and drowned. When I came to, the fresh bait man on the dock was breathing down my throat and jumping on my chest and freaking me out. Once again, the realization hit that I had screwed up, and somebody was there to pull me out of it. And at that point, I started to realize that the good Lord had been watching me the whole time. He'd been, even though I didn't ask him for anything, even though I didn't want anything from him or need anything from him, because he couldn't help my mom, so why would he help me? And then it got to a point where I figured, it's just little stuff, things I can change on my own. Why bother him with it? Well, bother him with it, guys. Take your time, go in the room by yourself. Nobody has to know. Go in there and ask him these little things. If you're getting bullied, if you're not doing good in school, if you're not, whatever the case may be, don't be afraid to ask him. He's listening. He's there, and he knows what's going on in your life. He wants to help. Now, I did good for the next 22 years, and then in 2012, I bought my first motorcycle, brand new. Bought it on a Monday. It rained Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday was the first sunny day. Jumped on the bike, went down to the Yamaha shop, picked up the parts that I'd ordered. On the way home, I stopped and got 2 1-liter sodas, put them in my backpack, and took off. The lady in front of me stopped. I saw her stop. I knew she was turning left. There was traffic coming at her. She couldn't go anywhere. I was doing 48 miles an hour when I hit her. She was at a dead stop. I remember saying, ouch, this is going to hurt. I remember thinking, ouch, this is going to hurt. I remember the impact, and then I remember coming to with my left hand on the pavement and my right hand holding her driver's mirror. And you could see where my helmet hit her trunk. You can see where my 2 1-liter soda pops exploded on her rear windshield. You can see where my butt in my wallet slid across her roof. And you can see where my feet slid down her driver's door. Why I wasn't thrown into oncoming traffic, which by all rights I should have been. I should have been run over. I got up, started the bike, and walked away from it. I spent 33 weeks in a cast, which leads to 8 months after that, or 6 months after that, I got a ticket riding across Powell on the bike. I did a wheelie. There was nobody in sight. It was a Sunday. It was 6 o'clock at night, and I rode a wheelie across Powell. Well, I was wearing a cast when I did it.
Don't do that either.
Don't do that either. And the cop wrote me a ticket, $1,850 ticket. He got me for excessive acceleration, self-racing, loss of control of my vehicle, and no endorsement for a motorcycle. I went to court, and the judge read the charges to me, called me up front and read the charges to me, and then called the officer up to the bench, and he asked the officer, he said, was this young man wearing that cast when he rode this wheelie across Powell? And the officer said, yes, sir, he was. And the judge says, how do you figure he had loss of control of that vehicle? He had one hand in a cast, and he rode a wheelie across Powell. He said, that's pretty impressive. And he asked the cop, he said, who wrote this ticket? And the cop said, well, I did, Your Honor. And he said, well, you didn't press down hard enough on the ticket, so your signature isn't on this ticket. So at this point, it's all dismissed. He told me, he said, if I catch you in my courtroom again, without an endorsement for a motorcycle. He said, I will bring every one of these charges back on you plus your new charges. So, of course, the next day I went down and got my bike license and da-da-da-da-da. But the point is, after court was over, I walked out and I got on my bike. And I was sitting there waiting. And I seen the judge walk out of the court right here, this courtroom right here. He walked out of the back and put on a leather jacket and a helmet and got on a Harley and rode off. And I knew again right then. I said, he's watching after me. It was something I should have never done. And even though it was something I shouldn't have done, I knew I shouldn't have done it, he still was looking out after me. So if you guys think that you need, if you don't need an excuse, you don't need a reason. If you want to talk to him, talk to him. He's there, he's listening. I did good for the next 2 years. My daughter moved into my house, and she was trying to get clean off of heroin. She was doing really well, so I let her move in. She needed a place to go. She needed support. About 3 months after that, she moved a friend in, one of her friends in, who, and actually after 2 years, I found out later it was him. He let me blame my daughter for it for 2 years. But he moved my ex-wife in. And I couldn't get rid of her. I mean, she walked into my house. She threw her stuff on the living room floor. And the words that came out of her mouth next terrified me. She said, I'm a legal tenant, evict me. And I put 2 years and $600 into trying to get her out of my house, and I couldn't do it. I prayed, I begged, I pleaded, I threatened. I got good lawyers. Nothing worked. I was done. I was finished. It was my house, and I couldn't do anything about it. And it led to a boiling point that I couldn't stop. I got angry. I hated people. I hated my kids. I wouldn't talk to anybody. I hibernated in my room. I went to work. I came home. I got high, and I went to bed. And I did that for about 4 months, 3.5 months. And I got up one morning and I just said, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not hiding from anybody. I'm not running. Nothing's going my way. So I went to the safe and I pulled out a .357 Magnum and put 5 rounds in a 6-round revolver, spun the cylinder, stuck the barrel in the roof of my mouth, and I pulled the trigger. And it was on a blank cylinder. Anybody knows that you put 5 rounds in a 6-round revolver, the odds are 5 to 1 against you that it's going to come up empty. And it was 2 weeks after that Brandon and Dawn Self took me to the Sandy River and led me to the Lord. And that is what's led me to coming in here every Wednesday and Sunday and helping you guys. So just do me a favor. If you ever think that you're at the end, you're not. You got a long way to go. You got a life to live ahead of you that's going to be phenomenal. You may not know what it is now, but he does, and he knows. You can argue with it all you want, but when the time comes, he's going to let you know. So just stick in there. Just hang in there. If you need someone to talk to, I've always got an empty shoulder. So I've been there, I've done it. Don't be bashful. Come see me. Come see Brandon. That's what we're here for. Michelle, she's a really good listener. She'll forget what you tell her, but she's really not kidding. I love you.
Yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit. Sometimes there can be kind of this hindrance, like Brandon's the youth pastor. I don't want him to know, that I stole candy from Winco. Like there's other people in church that people like Larry, people like Michelle, leaders and people that care about you and care about what's going on in your life. people that want to help you through these hard times. And so never feel like you don't have anyone to talk to, even if we barely ever talk at all. You never talked to Larry before. We are here to help. That is what the church is about. That is what we are all about. So is there any other details?
If you think you're at the end, pull the chain, because he's there. He's holding on to the other end of that chain. Yank on it, guys. Yank hard, because he's there. He's listening. He cares. He knows what's going on. So just don't ever forget that.
So is that a crazy testimony or what? I mean, that's pretty gnarly. God brought you through a lot, and you've told me you've explained more of the stories, and if you want someone to take to a campfire, take Larry, because he's got stories. He's a storyteller. But I just want to ask you specifically.
Just don't let me do marshmallows.
Yeah, no, don't do that. I want to ask you specifically. At what exact moment in your life, if you can remember this, what point did you say, I need to give my life to Jesus. I need to follow God 110%. What happened, and at what point did you decide that?
Click. When that hammer went click instead of bang, I knew then I owed him everything. There was nothing I could do. There was nothing I could say to right the wrong that I was trying to do. And he still said, I'm not done with you. I've got something planned for you. That was it. That was when it went click.
So can you explain to them what was life like emotionally and spiritually leading up to that point? Like where were you? When you're laying in bed and you're just thinking about your life, what was going through your mind? Where were you emotionally and spiritually?
Emotionally, I was shot. There was no reason for me to carry on. He didn't take care of my mom when I asked. He wasn't helping me get rid of Cindy when I asked. So it was like, why bother him? Obviously, my problems are too small. They're not. He's got bigger things to worry about. That's not true. He knows everything that's going on with all you guys. But I thought that at one point there had to be something I was doing wrong. There had to be something that I wasn't saying or praying, or I wasn't expressing to other people, trying to stop them from doing things that I had thought about doing and tried doing. Don't be bashful. Don't hesitate. If somebody says, well, you're a Bible thumper, tell them, yeah. Don't deny it. In an argument with a person, the way to win an argument with a person is shut up. Don't argue back. Let them run. Let them scream. Let them yell. Don't respond. Makes them infuriated, and they'll shut up. It makes them think about what they're complaining about. It forces them to think about what they're saying, because there's no response for them to feed off of.
Can you explain the importance of having God, the importance of having Jesus in your life today, right now?
Because I can't do it without him.
How so?
I can't. I have done nothing other than not deny him as my father, and he has given me everything. He's given me the most beautiful woman in the world. She married me. I have a brand new car. I have a brand new motorcycle. I have a killer job. I've been working 70 hours a week for the last 6 months. Thank God that's over. I'm so tired. Without him, you can't do it alone. And he may not, it may not be an immediate response, but Michelle, she tells me all the time, she says, your blind faith is amazing. And I really don't know what blind faith is other than a man who knows he's not going to walk into a wall. But that wasn't funny, guys. I have $5 left to my name, and I'll give it to a bum on the side of the street because he told me he's going to spend it on beer. He didn't lie to me. You know, oh, I have to get my kids medicine. I have to do this. I have to do that. No, you want a beer? Tell me you want a beer. I'll give you $5 for a beer. I don't care. Just don't lie to me. You know, the gratification at the time is the gratification at the time. It's the fact that you got to help somebody. Huh? Well,
He doesn't just give people money for beer. He gives people money when they need it. When they're hungry.
Yeah.
So don't pull Larry aside after and be like, Larry, I really need $5. Like, don't ask me why. I just need $5 because he's not going to give it to you, right?
I'll buy you food, though.
He'll buy you
I'll
food.
buy you food and a soda, though. I'll take you to dinner. I don't, you know. Don't. You're not alone. You will never be alone, ever. He has your back. He always has your back. It may not be right that second, but in a year, you're going to be walking down the road and find a $100 bill and have no clue why. Who cares? It's there. I mean, that's just the way he is. He's there to take care of you. All you got to do is just say, hey, take care of me.
Yeah, the idea of blind faith, you know, the Bible says to have faith like a child. And if you tell a child there's a you know, a pink elephant out in the lawn, they're gonna go look. You know, I live with a 2-year-old. She's not mine. That'd be weird. But I live with a 2-year-old, and I can tell her everything. I can be like, "Hey, Adelaide, there's a Godzilla in the backyard," and she goes and looks. You know, and God wants to move in our lives and give us so many blessings, but it requires us to have faith like a child that when he says he's going to do something, we believe him no matter what. And we don't look at our own circumstances and we don't look at our own situation. And God can say, I'm going to make this happen. And we just say, okay, you're God, you make it happen. And I think it's so amazing that even when you didn't want help from God, he was still there helping you.
Yes,
he was
always.
still there with you. And I think that a lot of people don't realize where they would be without the help of God. You know, sometimes we think that we can rely on
I'd be dead.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't know how bad they'd have it without God. And I think that it's good for us every now and then to just stop and say, God, thank you for what you've done for me, because he's done so much for us every day. And it's good to just sit and acknowledge, God, you are good. You are faithful to the end. So one last question, and I really want you to expound as much as you can on this. If you could give advice to the 15-year-old you, what would it be?
Stay in school. That's where I screwed up. I had better things to do. I had alcohol. I had a job. At 15 years old, I had a job then too. Michelle says I'm a workaholic. At 15 years old, I was running free. I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing. At 14, I got my first DUI in my mom's car. No driver's license. No.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Your dad gets really, really mad. Matter of fact, he takes the car from you. Back then, when you got a Dewey at 14 years old, they followed you home. They let you drive your mom's car home, and they followed you and told your dad that you were drinking and driving, and let your dad handle it. Now you go to prison. Yeah, just don't do that. Stay in school. Make the best of it. When you think you got nowhere to go, you got everywhere to go. When I got married, and I told my wife, I said, I will fly one time for you. And we flew to Cabo San Lucas and landed in the middle of a hurricane. So I not only flew, but I survived a hurricane. Once again, somebody was looking out for me. Us. "70 yards. 70 yards on the other side of us, people were dead, drowned, floating down the water. They had nets at the end of the river before the ocean to catch the bodies. It was horrifying. They said, oh, only 4 people drowned. Well, they had a what's it called? Pueblo at the top of the hill by the levees that had 250 people in it, and they didn't find any of the bodies in the 8 days we were there. So when you think you got nowhere to go, you got everywhere to go. Don't ever forget that. You got everywhere to go. At your guys' age, run with it. Take it. Go. Enjoy life. Don't stop. Don't hesitate because you think you're not doing the right thing. You're probably not, but he doesn't care. He's going to keep an eye on you. He's going to watch you. He's got your back. And he's not going to let you go anywhere until he's ready. And he'll let you know when that time comes. Just enjoy it until you get there. Run with it. Have fun.
Don't enjoy it if it's sin. If it's sin, you need to stop. But if it's school, then yeah, enjoy your school. Yeah, my biggest regret in school was I never got into any clubs or activities or sports or anything like that. I just went home and played games, you know. And if I could go back and do it again, I'd get involved. And it's so. I mean, looking back at my high school, it is a blur. I mean, people said once you get into junior year, it goes by quick. Once you get to senior year, it goes by even quicker. And I was like, whatever. But looking back, I'm like, yeah, like that went by really fast. And at the time, I know you guys are like, yeah, right, whatever. But seriously, like make the most of every day because you're going to wake up one day and you're going to be like, I'm 21, you know, like.
Then you're going to wake up and you're going to go, oh my God, I'm 53. What did I do?
That'll never happen. Okay. Anything else? Last call that you want to impart to these kids before we go downstairs and get brownies and ice cream?
Don't give up. Put up a fight. Stand for what you believe in. Let people know you believe in it. Don't back down from the fight. Let them know. Let them know we're Bible thumpers. Let them know we're Jesus freaks. It's cool, guys. It really is. He's got you covered regardless. So, and like I said, you ever need a shoulder? Michelle, me, Brandon, we're here. Don't be bashful.
Good advice. I think that's a wonderful idea. Does anyone have any questions for Larry before we head on back? I know you all have questions. It just takes the first person to ask the question, and then all of you ask questions. It happens every time. I'll call on someone.
Why'd you laugh at my bike earlier?
Yeah. That's not funny. That's serious business. Bikes are serious. Any serious questions for Larry before we? You can always talk to him after service too, if you're too scared to raise your hand. Are we praying for him? He should be praying for you.
Oh, I do. I pray hard for you guys. Trust me.
Yep. Last call. Any last comments? Did you guys enjoy him? Everyone's nodding their heads. So okay, there we go. I might have you back up here sometime. Maybe I'll give you a 5-minute challenge. Hey, where are you girls going? No, stay here. We're not done yet. You got bamboozled. Thinking you can sneak out? There's a whole auditorium. I could see you the whole way. Trying to duck behind the chairs? What are you doing?
The lights are on.
The lights. I mean, I can. Anyways, who had a question?
Drugs, lots and lots of drugs. I couldn't get them out of my house. Oregon state law says that if you tell me you're going on vacation in 6 months and I send a piece of mail to your address, in 6 months when you're on vacation, I go to your house and I move in. Literally, move in. Everything I own, I just move in. You can't do nothing about it. I'm now a legal tenant. You have to evict me. In the state of Oregon, it takes, you have to give them a 90-day written notice. You have to give them a 60-day. Then you have to give them a 30-day. And then if they don't leave, then you have to get a court date. In Clackamas County, that takes a year just to get a court date. So they get to live there this whole time for free. And they get to destroy your house, and they get to have all these people come do drug deals and everything. I got a 23-year-old son that got sentenced yesterday. I'm not exactly sure how bad it turned out because nobody talks to me. But he was facing 15 years. And they said if he gets sentenced for the whole thing, he'll do 12 because he's already done 3 years, so he'll get like time served thing. It's called something, I can't remember. But he's 23 years old, and he's still going to do 12 years. He's going to be old when he gets out. He's going to be old. Huh? Yeah, he's going to be 35. He was 14. He was 14 the first time he went to jail, 14 years old. And he did a year. And he did more in a year in jail than he did with the whole 14 years of his life. He got his GED. He got a flagger's license. He got a welding certificate. He got 2 weldings. He got a vertical welding certificate, which I have no idea what that means. And he got an underwater welding certificate. And he got out of jail 8 days before he was supposed to get released out of jail. He got caught in the welding room smoking pot in jail. Explain that. Explain that. In jail, he got caught smoking weed. Kind of interesting. But his goal in life is totally unlike any of you guys that are sitting in here now. His goal in life was to be the biggest drug dealer in Gresham. He wanted to be the Godfather. He wants to be the Godfather of Gresham.
The Godfather of Gresham. That doesn't sound too. It's Gresham. It's not. I mean, if you want to be like the Godfather of San Diego or like Dallas, that's pretty hard.
Right.
But
right.
Gresham, man. Hey, just because something is legal doesn't mean you should do it. Weed got legalized last year or something,
Yes.
and I know some of your guys' opinions, and guess what? I don't care about your opinions. I have seen marijuana ruin lives, and I really don't give a rip what you say. It's just for fun. Yeah, shut up. I really don't care.
It leads to bigger things.
Why even play with fire? I mean, it's one of those things that, yes, it affects people differently, but why even go there in the first place? I think that if we're being honest with ourselves, there's other reasons, and you're trying to find fulfillment, and you're lonely, and you're hurting, and you use it as an outlet. Like I said, I've seen it do horrible things to people. Same with alcohol, same with cigarettes, same with all that stuff. Just play it safe. Just stay away from all of it, and just don't even don't even go there. I've never smoked weed in my life, and I'm never going to. Not because I want to be cool or whatever, but because I don't even want to open that door in my life. I don't even want to go down that road to begin with, because what I've seen it do to people. So I just want to caution you guys with that.
If you hit your thumb with a hammer, you move your thumb, right? Drug addicts don't. For some strange reason, they insistently keep hitting their thumb with that hammer, and they can't really explain it. And my son was 21 when they found him dead on the bathroom floor. They don't know how long he was dead before they got there, but it took the paramedics 8 minutes. 8 minutes he was dead to bring him back to life. Now they got to his house. They pulled him out of the bathroom. They worked on him for 2 or 3 minutes, and they pronounced him dead. The paramedics did. And the cop that was standing there said, "You can't do that. His mom is standing right here. You need to keep working on him, put him in the ambulance, take him to the hospital, pronounce him dead there if you have to." They brought him back to life. He has absolutely no short-term memory now. I take him to lunch on Monday, and he tells me on Tuesday we should go to lunch. It's been forever. But he's done that 4 times since. So I guess what I'm trying to say is when you hit your thumb with a hammer, move your thumb. If you're doing it, stop. It's not worth it. Like Brandon said, I've seen what it does to people. You guys have seen what it's done to kids, that you go to school with. Don't do it. Just say no. It's actually really easy. But I've been sober 23 years. I've been off of methamphetamines for 24 years, and I've been off of cigarettes for 25 years. It can be done. And all you got to do is just say, "I'm done, through, finished." Yes, ma'am. Well, I didn't own the house. I was renting. But I did. I just packed everything I had, and I moved into my car. Me and Boo Boo and everything I owned, and put it in a garage, and me and Boo lived in the car for a long time. And then I got married, and somebody's taking good care of me now, so. But that's what I did. That's exactly what I did. I just packed everything I owned and walked away from it. And the freedom is phenomenal. The feeling that nothing is holding you back is when you get the feeling of freedom, real freedom of life, everything you read in the Bible becomes so much easier to understand, so much easier to comprehend, and it sticks with you a lot longer. I actually was able to pick a verse out of the Bible and memorize it. And then, I don't know, well, and then I found out it wasn't actually a verse in the Bible. It was something somebody wrote, and Michelle had to bring that to my attention. But always remember this. Always remember this. Don't walk in front of me, for I may not follow. Don't walk behind me, for I may not lead. Just walk beside me and be my friend for the rest of your life. And that'll take you through pretty much anything.